Peep the concrete chronicles, my secret origins honest. Every hustle's first appearance, putting paper on the harness. Got a super villain plot twist for the crooked politicians. Me and my crew are heroes on a whole different mission. They see the flashy jewels, that's just a secret identity. My real superpower is surviving this vicinity. Doing the uptown lowdown, know what I mean? Doing the uptown.
Welcome to Secret Identities Podcast. We're with your host, the tenacious T-Dubb, and I am your savvy Savage Jody. We're here to bring you news, reviews, discussion, maybe a few laughs about everything in the comics, TV, movie, and media landscape. How you doing, T-Dubb?
I am doing better than you, Jody. Doing pretty good.
Yeah,
That was good. Good take there.
Yeah, that intro took me a couple of tries this time.
Nah, it's cool. I'm doing good, man. Fresh off an exciting week, seeing a movie that we talked about last week, Masters of the Universe. Got some quite a bit of news in the comic book genre, video games and movies. So, going to be bringing you some news from around the globe.
We're ready to hear it.
Well, in comic book news this week, Absolute Batman is actually got pushed back a week, and it'll be out this coming week, and it will actually have the first appearance of the Absolute Two-Face and Absolute Penguin in this issue. This will be issue 21. And a bit of news from Scott Snyder, the writer. The last issue of Absolute Batman, which was issue 20 that came out last month, had the first appearance of the Team Robins that were in the giant mech suits, as you probably saw advertised online. That one actually broke 500,000 copies out there in the comic book world. So reserve those issues however you get your comics online or at the brick and mortar stores. Some great stories going on in the Absolute DC universe, which we'll be talking more about in the coming weeks. Now, it started a few months ago, a few years ago with Absolute Batman, Absolute Superman, and Absolute Wonder Woman. And in those titles, they're kind of a different telling of the origins of those Trinity characters from DC Comics. So it's not your run-of-the-mill origins for Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. Kind of a darker tone to it. The artwork is fantastic, especially Nick Dragotta from Absolute Batman. Kind of has a dark Tim Sale influence with some manga in there. So I think it'll catch a lot of people by surprise on how exciting these titles are. Getting into some new powers for each one. And from what the rumors are, from it being such a successful line, they're probably going to be crossing them over with the current timeline in DC Comics with the Trinity titles.
Yeah,
last week
I'll put some pictures of them here in the video for people that haven't seen them.
Yeah, they're all three of the Trinity books, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, are at about issue 20 to 21. They're neck and neck. But they also have Absolute Flash and Absolute Martian Manhunters that started a few months later. So you can still catch those issues of those floppies, so to speak, at the stores. The Absolute Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman are collected in trade paperback, hardcover or softcover, graphic novels that you can get from like Barnes and Noble or Books a Million or Amazon or at your comic shops. And those graphic novels and trade paperbacks usually have the first 6 issues in them. So if you're not able to catch the floppies online or at your comic shops because they hold quite a bit of value now because they're so popular. Which in point, the Absolute Batman is actually in its 12th printing of the first issue. So that tells you how popular it is and how that book is running
numbers, man.
right now. Yeah, definitely. So a lot to be excited about. Just last week, they released Absolute Green Arrow. And Joe, you were telling me a little bit about what you heard about that book. It's a different take on it.
Well, in the Absolute universe, apparently Oliver Queen is already dead. He was killed by, I want to say, Vandal Savage, maybe? in one of the first
Yeah, I
issues
think
of and the Green Arrow of the Absolute Universe is actually a serial killer, but we don't know who his alter ego is. So
yeah,
apparently
yeah,
he's out taking violent revenge on criminals in the Absolute Universe, and he wears a like essentially a devil mask, and he carries a
yeah,
bow made of two machetes.
yeah,
It's pretty crazy,
yeah.
pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I remember the Arrows series on CW, which starting out at least for the first two seasons was an incredible show. And
Yeah, it was a great
I
Batman
think
show.
yeah, they're definitely putting a twist on it. Yeah, yeah, that's what it was called. Because you're like, man, this guy, I didn't know Green Arrow's this vengeful, and they kept calling him a vigilante. So almost like a callback with this new Absolute Green Arrow series. And just this past Wednesday, uh, the Absolute Catwoman first issue just came out. Very exciting take on her as well. Don't know the details because I haven't read it yet, but already heard that it's doing really well uh, at these stores. So definitely check out those Absolute series. If you guys get around to read them all or some of the issues that we haven't read, please leave some comments in the comment section, and we would love to go back and forth and discuss. And also on future episodes, we'll be discussing a lot of these books and these titles. Also, bit of news: a milestone. Youngblood issue number actually came out Wednesday at the comic shops. Got quite a few variant covers, as do the Absolute titles. Youngblood is dating all the way back to 1993. It was Image's flagship title by Rob Liefeld that actually came out to start that company. So a little bit of nostalgia since we're all into that with the Masters of the Universe stuff and everything coming back from the 80s and 90s. So if you're a fan of Rob Liefeld stuff like Deadpool, his previous titles from Extreme Studios, Youngblood is a definite pickup. And kind of segueing from the 80s nostalgia titles, Wednesday saw the release of M.A.S.K. #1. That book is from Skybound, Robert Kirkman's Image with Image Comics, Skybound Entertainment, and M.A.S.K. was the vehicles with the opposing force was known as Venom, and they had the cars with the guys with the mask. The heroes wore the mask. They gave them different powers and abilities. So if you were a fan of the cartoon in the 80s, definitely a great pickup. It's got a great uh, Jeffrey Scott Campbell cover. And what I failed to mention before, and this is a topic that we'll probably be discussing more of, with everybody caught up in the variant cover craze, there's another enhancement to comics that are coming out that's catching on. Uh, I believe they did this last year, one of the first titles that they did this with through Skybound and Image. They do these blind bags, which some of the other companies like Marvel and DC have caught on and tried it as well, but not to the success of Image with Skybound. The book Battle Beast, which comes from the Invincible universe, they do these blind bags where in the blind bags, yeah, you're going to pay a higher amount for the blind bags. Usually it's like $9.99. What they'll do is put variant covers of the first issue in the poly bags, and they're sealed. You can't see through them at all. But they put variant covers, some 1 in 25 rare covers, 1 in 50, and even 1 in 100 covers. Some of them are foil covers, holographic covers, different variants. And one of the great things that I loved about it was you're already going to the store or going online to buy this first issue of this great comic book. Well, one of the entries into the blind bags is they actually do an advanced copy of issue 2 that's not due out for another month, and they put an exclusive cover on it and put issue 2 in the poly bag in the blind bag. So when you go buy the comic, there's a chance you bought the regular edition and you already got a month in advance second issue already in your hand. So when that book comes out again, yeah, they'll sell it with the original cover, but you got an exclusive foil cover of the second issue, and you can read the issue ahead of time. I thought it was really cool when I bought the Battle Beast #1 and got the second issue to be able to read in advance. So it did really well. They're doing the same thing for M.A.S.K #1, and also an old favorite uh, from the 90s, 2000s, Ben 10. They actually did a blind bag set for that book as well. So definitely check it out online when you order comics in your brick and mortar stores, and support your comics that you like. I know Gareth, your son, is a big fan of Ben 10.
Honestly, it's a really good show. When he was really young, I was just kind of shoulder surfing him in the living room while he was watching it, and I was like, "Oh, this show's really good." And that's when I learned that it's written by one of my favorite writers from DC Comics, Dwayne McDuffie. So
Yes.
I was like, "Oh, makes sense." And it's really well done. It's really well done. I tell you what, Telly, it must be my criminal mind, but as you're talking about those blind bags, I was like, I know how I'd find out which books were the rare books. Because if you're talking about a foil cover,
How's
the
that?
rigidity of that cover is gonna be completely different than a standard floppy issue. You'd be able to go through those blind
Oh,
bags
yeah.
and figure out which one's got the rare comic in it. Don't trust me around a stack
Yeah.
of them. I'd be feeling
Yeah.
them up like a boy on a prom date, buddy. I'd be like, this one. I
Yeah,
want this
yeah,
one.
they did really well. I know DC flopped with issue 1 of Batman that came out earlier this year when they tried to do the blind bags because from the distributor, a good huge percentage of the blind bags were damaged, so they had to work something
That
out
was
with
probably
DC
because I
and
was in
send
that
them back.
shop. That's because I was in that shop.
Oh yeah, check it out.
Yeah. Oh, that's not
wrinkling
one.
up those books. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I think it's a great idea. It brings excitement back to. There's a catch with the Ben 10 book. Now you were saying Dwayne McDuffie, one of your favorite writers, one of my favorite writers, but you were the one that shed some light on it and let me know that he was one of the writers of the show. He
Man
actually
of
is
action, yeah.
I'm a big fan of his because of his milestone work with DC back in the 90s. Books like Static Shock, Hardware, Icon and Rocket, Blood Syndicate, and those titles, if anybody out there has heard of those. And we definitely will be doing a spotlight show on those
I don't know
titles
how you heard about
coming up in
those
the
books,
future.
Kelly.
Oh yeah, they were so good. The writing on them were fantastic. And another tidbit of information, God rest his soul. I believe Dwayne McDuffie's birthday was yesterday.
Oh,
So
really? I didn't know.
yeah,
Yeah,
June 11th.
he's been gone a long
Yeah,
time at this point. He's been gone.
yeah,
Oh,
15 years.
yeah.
15
But
years. He passed at the early age of 49. Believe it or not. So yeah, great writer. Like I said, I'm very passionate about that line. You know, a lot of you people that know me as an artist, comic book artist, I was influenced by the Image Comics guys, but if not tied with first, but a close second are the Milestone books. I remember when I was going to Howard University, there was a small comic shop nearby on campus, and a guy had a shop in one of the row houses in the basement, and I used to go in there and pick up my Milestone books from that comic shop, and you know I got turned on to those, and man, I thought they were different, and they were great. So uh, definitely check out that stuff. Check out the blind bags uh, for those books. I'm sure they're going to be doing that with a lot of comics that are coming out, especially those big first issues. It's been a success for Battle Beast, for M.A.S.K, what I'm hearing. Because actually, before I let this topic go, with the M.A.S.K #1 blind bags, not only do you get the foil covers, the 1 in 25 covers, the 1 in 50 covers, you get the preview of the second issue cover. They actually they inserted the very first issue of Rom, who's joining the Energon universe. So the first full issue of Rom that's not even supposed to be solicited for another couple of months, you're getting an advanced copy of that in one of those mass blind bags. I actually saw on my timeline a guy bought a good 10 copies of those blind bags and was cracking through them. His third one he went through, he got the ROM #1 first issue. So definitely, and if you guys is dating you, ROM goes back to what, the 80s,
Yes, early
something like that,
80s, early 80s.
early Marvel comics. So for it's huge for him to be joining the Energon universe with Transformers, G.I. Joe, Void Rivals, and now M.A.S.K. with Robert
Yeah.
Kirkman and Skybound and Image.
Marvel actually, Rom was a licensed comic for Marvel early on. He had a very
Yeah,
popular comic run, but he's been kind of out of play for years because he was actually licensed by a toy company, and that toy company hasn't wanted to play. So it's a big
yeah.
deal for him to be coming back on the scene now. Now you mentioned the Energon universe. For those that don't know, what exactly is that?
Well, Energon universe a few years ago was put together with Robert Kirkman and Skybound Image, who's from Walking Dead and Invincible fame, to make it a more cohesive universe. He made up a title called Void Rivals that ties into the Transformers history of the Quintessons who founded the Transformers earlier on. That was before Optimus Prime, before Megatron. So the Void Rivals, uh, I'm still reading it, so I'm still piecing it together. But it's a way where the Transformers, G.I. Joe, Void Rivals, uh, and M.A.S.K. now will be all interchangeable and intertwined into one cohesive universe. And they, I mean, you had Starscream showing up in GI Joe. You had some of the GI Joe characters, Cobra Commander showing up in Transformers. You had the M.A.S.K. characters showing up in the Transformers comic books. And Robert Kirkman just took over the Transformers writing duties as of issue 25 on Transformers that came out late last year around December. So still some time to catch on. Those books have gotten very expensive because they've been selling out. I believe the first issue of Transformers reboot is somewhere around the 13th or 14th printing, but you can find the volume trade paperbacks that are very inexpensive, only $14.99, and you're getting 6 issues a piece, and they're already up to the 5th volume. So you can order those on Amazon or at your favorite comic shop, neighborhood comic shop, and read up and catch up. Like I'm playing catch up on this because I was a late uh, guy catching on to these new wave of titles. The artwork's great. The storytelling is amazing. Uh, Kirkman is behind and spearheading a new Transformers G.I. Joe cartoon as well. So a lot of stuff coming out of this with all the subject of the 80s nostalgia. You're going to be seeing a lot of your favorite comics, cartoons coming back as comic books. Because a lot of them, I mean, you had early on He-Man and G.I. Joe comics, Transformers comics from Marvel and Dark Horse and DC back in the day. So they're also putting out these telephone book size omnibuses of those older issues from the 80s. So if you're a fan of those Transformers and G.I. Joe comics, I actually saw one in the store the other day, and that book will keep you busy for a long time because it's got over 100 issues of the comic, one in one big omnibus phone book size volume. And that's definitely a tabletop book that you can have when you have your big old meetings and drinking draws, things like that. So that's all I got for comic book news. Uh, oh, before I stop that, Jody, you heard some news from Robert Kirkman in one of your favorite
That's right. Yeah, Robert Kirkman's
imprints
going to get
going
a
up.
lot of love here today. I heard that Robert Kirkman had actually secured the rights to Magnus Robot Fighter, Solar Man of the Atom, and Turok Son of Stone from Gold Key Comics, which some may remember from the early Valiant run when they had the rights and they made them the cornerstone of their connected universe, or some might remember Turok from his early 90s or late 90s N64 game, where Turok Dinosaur Hunter was very popular, had a few iterations. Yeah, I'm very excited for that. I think I'm really impressed with Kirkman and what he did um, with Invincible. Um, I was late to the party, but I'm a believer now. I still don't have a whole lot of love for Walking Dead, but it's not because I don't think it's done well. It's just because it's not my thing. Um, but I'm excited to see what he's going to do with those characters, whether he's going to use them in a connected universe like he did with what he's doing with the Energon universe, and are they going to get written into the Invincible universe? How's that going to work? It'd be interesting power
Yeah.
dynamics with those characters to see where they're going to fit. Yeah, but I guess we'll wait and see. We'll talk more about it when it happens, I imagine.
Yeah. I'm sure more news will be coming out of San Diego Comic-Con next month. So we will be having news coverage on some upcoming episodes, talking about the news that pops out of that. So we will definitely be reporting what news that we got coming up in the coming weeks. So getting excited about that, and more comic stuff coming out of the genre. So can't wait to talk more about that. Outside of the comic news, and it's still related to comic books, uh, I got some movie and video game news from this past week. Uh, we on the movie side of things, we saw some exclusive clips coming from the Superman Man of Tomorrow movie,
Oh yeah,
which is the sequel from James Gunn's Superman from last year. There was some shots put on social media this week where Superman is actually meeting Supergirl from the Supergirl movie, and also Lex Luthor in his green and purple exosuit, with some footage of him and Superman getting in the fisticuffs in the streets of
that's right.
Metropolis.
That's
So
right.
I like Jody. We were talking about it because when all through the week, just like when we were kids, we're talking about the news when we used to talk about it in drafting class in Mr. Fasso's class. We now uh, send social media links and stuff like that and talk about it while we're working and drawing, and writing and coloring. So all day long we're trying to one up each other on, did you hear about this? Oh, I heard that. Did you hear about that? So we're going back and forth like a ping pong, like Forrest Gump in a ping pong table. But uh, you know, seeing that footage, I know you were talking about how impressed you were
I,
of
I'm
how that suit was made,
I'm thoroughly
and
impressed. Yeah, it's practical
yeah,
effects. I don't. I stare at it and I'm like, is it 3D printed? Is that made of metal? To watch him move in that large suit, you would think it was powered in some way. You'd think it
yeah.
was a real. I mean, it's so well done. It's impressive. No,
And this footage looked like it was shot. It could have been shot by,
it's gonna be like
one of these
right
new
there.
cameras. Yeah,
I'm gonna put it in the
but
video so everybody will be able to see it. I'm gonna
yeah,
put it right there.
and they you from looking at it, you can tell it was shot from like maybe a cell phone, something like that.
Yeah,
Some paparazzi or some ongoing lookers from the streets, where they're filming most of the time in these big cities. But once they see it, and then you see once they put the I don't know if Industrial Light Magic or the CG people put their effects on it. Oh, you could tell it's going to look incredible on the big
it's
screen when it comes out. So
it's just amazing
definitely
to
looking
see it
forward to
done
that.
as a practical effect, and then to get finished off
Yeah,
with CG, just going to make it magical. And the trolls have already gotten to it. Trolls are saying, the Snyder Bros are saying it looks like Buzz Lightyear, but anybody who says
yeah,
that
yeah,
did not grow up with the Superpowers line of action figures, because it's a lot older than
yeah.
Buzz Lightyear, but it sure looks like that suit.
Yeah, you're right. It does. It does. So yeah, looking forward to that. Uh, the video game news that we got coming out is pretty big. And Jody probably put a couple of clips in the video
Already
when
got it
we
set up.
when we posted it. Wolverine It's a Wolverine video game that's huge that they've been working on for years. Insomnia Games, who did the Spider-Man games for PS5, Spider-Man 1, the Miles Morales game, as well as the Spider-Man 2. They are putting out a Wolverine game, and they had the first gameplay footage that was very gory, a lot of blood. But the biggest thing that everybody's talking about is during the battles that you're fighting and engaging in, real time, Wolverine or Logan is using his healing factor to cure himself as he's fighting. So you can see the scars, the bullet wounds healing on him, the blood dripping out of him as he's sticking those long forks, those adamantium balls in opposing people, getting to his goal in the game. Now, what I heard the early rumors is men team in this game. All right, it's told from Wolverine's point of view, so you got a lot of characters from his lore. Uh, uh, Lady Deathstrike, Jean Grey, Storm, a lot of the X-Men that you'll see in this, and a lot of enemies of his as well. So very anxious to see where the story goes. Insomnia is always tight-lit because those 3 Spider-Man games they put out were phenomenal. Story-wise, most of the time they get comic book writers to write these stories, so it's like you're playing a comic book. I mean, if you've ever played those Spider-Man games, there's free world roaming, and it's enormous. I mean, you really feel like you're swinging from buildings in these games. So no question that Wolverine's going to bring the pain. And September 15th is the release date for this game, long awaited. So you'll be seeing they got a couple game cons in San Diego Comic Con. So you'll be seeing even more. So watch your timelines. We'll have any big updates on our channel as well. But September 15th is the release date. It is PS5 exclusive. But the reserves for the game have already gone up. GameStop, their website, as well as Amazon, you can reserve the game and have it shipped to your doorstep if you don't feel like venturing out. So definitely check out those gameplay screens. Another one we have coming is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin game. Now, this game was perceived to be canceled earlier on. Now, the Last Ronin story, I won't tell too much about it because the more you talk about it, the more it gets ruined. And I feel like I owe it to you guys to be surprised with this story because it's probably one of the darkest Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that's ever been written. It's also one of the most popular. The graphic novel, I had heard about it. It was sold out. The floppies were sold out at comic shops everywhere. I mean, you have to pay high prices on eBay. Believe it or not, I picked up my hardcover graphic novel for Last Ronin at Target. So, and I was very lucky to grab one. So, great story. I think the fans really spoke out in what they wanted to see. I heard there may be a movie on the horizon as well, but maybe a little bit of difficulty starting a movie where the premise is what it is in Last Ronin. I won't go into it because the more you talk about it for those people, you kind of ruin the mystique and what the premise of the story is. So
there was a movie greenlit at one point, but as far as I know, the movie has been canceled. Now, there's some talk that it might be in limbo, but coming back. But for those of you that are fans of Ninja Turtles that have children, the premise of this movie might upset your children.
Yeah. But I think once you see where it's going and find out who it is, I think you'll be pretty happy about what it is. So, yeah, that's all the... before I go on the video game front, did you know, you may or may know this with your background in games and Jareth, but this predates him. I was on my timeline today. There actually was a Masters of the Universe He-Man video game that came out on PlayStation 2.
Really?
Yes. And I was pretty impressed at the graphics and what it was. I think it's based on the older He-Man, but also the reboot that they did in 2002 with the redesigns by the Four Horsemen who used to work for Todd McFarlane and Todd Toys or McFarlane Toys back in the day. So a little bit different looking, but from what I saw in the gameplay, and you guys could Google it or check it out or YouTube it, it's I was uh, like, wow, I was pretty impressed.
There's actually one that came out this year. It's like I can't remember the name of it. It's like He-Man and the Dark Pearl or something like that. It looks
Oh yeah,
gorgeous. It looks beautiful.
yeah, it's one of those nostalgia games that you can download directly from the marketplace. So yeah, I did hear about that one, but yeah, it's I heard it's a good game. Definitely a good game.
Let's see. He-Man, Dragon Pearl of Destruction. Gorgeous looking game.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
you like He-Man, it's your game.
yeah. Definitely check that out.
Oh, actually, it's not. It says delayed and aiming for summer 2026. So it's going to be out this summer.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, I do remember that. If I'm not mistaken, I thought it was kickstarted, and they
I,
did a Kickstarter campaign to get it funded. But
I'm an old man. I
yeah,
heard about it on Facebook about 6 months ago, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, it's looks like retro 32-bit graphics.
yeah,
Really cool looking. Almost like looks like it's almost a side scroller, like
yeah.
Bad Dudes or one of the old arcade
No,
point
Double
out.
Dragon.
Yeah,
Double Dragon.
Double
Yeah,
Dragon would be a good, yeah.
yeah,
Or
yeah.
the X-Men video game with the 4 players.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
would say yeah, it looks like
yeah,
a side scroller that way. That's pretty cool.
yeah, yeah. May have to look forward to that.
Yeah, I'll put some stills of that up too. What the hell? Let
Yeah,
me see.
but yeah, the that's it for the roundup for the comic news for this week. Tune in next week. Well, I will have a ongoing continuation of the comic book and pop culture news bits that we have coming across.
I think the next thing we have is spoiler-free review. We saw a movie, didn't we, Kelly?
Yes, we did. We didn't see a movie. We saw an event
Oh, did we?
of epic proportions.
So, what did you think of that event? Now we're gonna give our spoiler-free reviews now, and then we're gonna break, and then we're gonna give our spoiler review after. So, if you don't want to be spoiled, you can stop. You can come back, listen to it later. So, give us your spoiler-free review, Kelly.
Spoiler free review Masters of the Universe. I went in this movie with pretty middle of the road expectations because anytime you're doing an adaptation of an IP that was a childhood cartoon, a previous series, uh, and then it's brought into the live action fold, you know there's gonna be a lot of negativity, a lot of trolling, a lot of people saying it should have been this, it wasn't this, it didn't have that, they forgot this, it should have not gone this way, or they may talk about how bad it did at the box office. But for someone that is so passionate about an art or form of art in the terms of an IP like He-Man or Masters of the Universe, this is probably one of the longest running IPs that you've had along towards Star Wars and G.I. Joe and Transformers. You're talking about over 40 years that this was old school. This was made a toy line first and pitched as a toy line before it became a cartoon. So, most of the stuff you've seen in the last 20 years, they didn't go about business like this. And one of the references we did gearing up for this is that we watched the Grayskull documentary on
Power
Tubi.
of Grayskull.
For you guys, that Power of Grayskull documentary on Tubi, where you can listen in and see all the history behind the 1987 movie, the 1983 cartoon, and the reiterations of them all in the last years. Uh, I have to say that I was blown away by this movie. It took me back to 5-year-old me in 1983, where I would go to my parents would take me to Montgomery Wards and Sears and Toys R Us and KB toy stores, to buy these He-Man figures. This guy that fought for all the great things, just like Superman, but he was in a Conan-esque garb. His powers were almost invincibility, and he did anything to help out his fellow man to succeed, and even gave great advice at the end of the episode. Laughable advice 40 years later, but great advice. But going into this movie, man, oh man, the palette, the setup, the intro, the first 10 minutes of the action, just the portrayals by each character, live action form, I just thought it was awesome. I loved it a lot. I thought all the actors and actresses did a great job. Uh, the landscapes, Castle Grayskull, Eternia in itself, Snake Mountain, the vehicles, the creatures of the bad guys, Skeletor, even though Jared Leto was playing him and people was talking down about him in his previous performance in other movies before then, all of those things went out the window. Went out the window of Castle Grayskull, even though it's only got one window, two windows through the eyes. But man, I was floored. All through this movie, it had me on the edge of my seat. There were points in this movie where I cheered, and like I said, 5-year-old me was dancing. I played the soundtrack there, and I played it going home because it had that '80s feel. It oh man, yeah. Not enough things to say without spoiling, which we'll talk more about in our next segment. But I have to say, I give this movie 4 out of 5. Now, I am going to promise you, I'm going to give an explanation of that 4 out of 5 in our next segment in the spoiler review. And there is a chance that that rating may change for the better or for the worse. You got to tune in. But what do you think, Jody?
Well, I have to say first, if you haven't noticed over the course of this and last episode, T-Dub is a little bit of a shill for Master of the Universe. Uh,
Yeah.
he likes Master of the Universe so much that it sometimes causes problems with us getting our stuff done because he wants to talk about Master of the Universe where we're supposed to be working. I, on the other
I
hand,
just I relate it to real life and fantasy
am
as well.
not usually as positive about most things. I'm a little bit more critical. I'll start breaking things down. People listen to me talk about something and be like, "Man, I can't believe you didn't like it." I was like, "I never said I didn't like it. I just have some things to say about it." Um, with that, all that said, I will have to say this movie was excellent. This movie was just I like Telly. I walked in with trepidation because I'm used to comic book and cartoon adaptations taking a lot of liberty or cutting corners or having disrespect for the source material, blazing their own trail, and I feel like this did none of those things. It was a true love letter to the cartoon. It had Easter eggs for uh, all of the iterations of Master of the Universe. It handled it faithfully. It was a lot of fun, a lot of set dressing, and like it had the energy of, say, Return of the Jedi at times. There's points in the movie where I was like, this feels like that, and not just that as an adult looking at it, how I felt watching it as a kid. That's a high watermark because I was like, oh, this is really cool. It had a lot of funny it didn't take itself too seriously, so there's a lot of fun jokes about it. It was kind of like poking fun at the silliness of the source material without being disrespectful of the source material. So I I think there were, if I had any criticisms, like I said, I'm one of those guys, is that the story was a little by the numbers. It was a typical hero's journey kind of story where you've seen this movie a half a dozen times if you watched a kids movie. But that's something to remember. This is a kids movie. So if you're going in looking for something hard boiled and complex themes, you're going to be disappointed because this movie needs to be accessible to children. It's based on children's property. But
Yeah.
that being said, I don't feel like it's pablum. I don't feel like it's mind-numbingly simple like a kid's thing could be. So
Yeah. Definitely.
I feel like it succeeded in all of the ways that the original Master of the Universe movie failed. And
Yeah.
can't say enough good stuff about it. I would say Telly's 4 out of 5 does not do this movie justice. And I understand why he did it. But I'm going to say I wish I was on a 10 scale, because I would give it probably a 9, because I think it deserves that 90%, and you can't get 90% on a 4 out of 5 scale. I'm going to say 4.7.
Oh, agreed. And like I said, my rating may change with the I with the stuff that we're going to talk about in the spoiler review. I think it'll be a good reason on why I may change my rating, because discussing the Easter eggs and talking about all of the nostalgia, it really did some things that a lot of movies have failed to do in one showing at a theater. Then me going to see a movie one time at a theater and then having to watch it 10 more times on Blu-ray because I missed things or someone else shed a little bit more light onto what it actually was, and I'm watching for research. This one viewing, if I were to never see this movie again and for some reason it never came out on Blu-ray, I would always think back and say, man, that was such a great movie. It did so many things for me. It made me a 5-year-old again. It talked about, it addressed issues with movies as far as the pacing and the having a point and goal of where they wanted to take the story till the end, and if they left it open for sequels or spinoffs. So more on that later. But I'm gonna tell you, this movie was it almost had no dull points. If you're watching it on old school VHS, like that 87 movie, your hand would never go near the fast forward button on this. I tell you, it's just like it would go to rewind because you're like, did that just happen? Oh man, that fight was kick ass. That was great. So, definitely tune in to the next segment and you'll find out what we're talking about. But overall, man, I was really floored by this movie. I got to the point where I stopped watching stuff on my timeline because one, I didn't be one to get ruined by anything that was in the movie the day that me and my younger brother Nicholas went to see it. So definitely glad I got to see it with him because he was right there along with me, getting the He-Man toys for Christmas, setting them on our nightstand in between our bed when we went to sleep at night, and having each other and talking to our friends in the neighborhood growing up about the new release figures that were coming out from the big toy line. So excited. I'm so excited to talk about this movie today.
Well, on that note, if I would actually like to hear some of the viewers' point of view. We'd love to hear from you about it, and you could reach out to us on our contacts or our social media, and we'll share that right here. Remember, if you want to contact us, you can reach us by email, secretidentitiesmedia@gmail.com, contact@secret-identities.com, or on any of our socials, secret_identities_media on Instagram, sec_ident_media on X Twitter, secret_identities_pod on TikTok, or just search Secret Identities on Facebook. You can find links for these in the show notes wherever you found us, on the title card at the end of the show, or just scan the QR code on your screen for our link tree.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you guys on what you thought. What you like about the movie? What did you not like about the movie? And we'll be telling you that in the next segment. along with, I always ask in this genre, as creators like us with comic books and how it related to the comic books, how it relates to film and cartoon and live action movies. If you were the director or the producers or the writers or the actors or actresses, what would you do? What changes would you make to this movie, if any? We'd love to hear that stuff. Please share it with us. And we read every comment that you guys leave us. You're important to us. Your points of view are important to us. And we appreciate you guys showing the love and listening to us. So we want to be able to interact with you and uh, see what you guys think about it. So,
Now, one thing I wanted to talk about was what everybody else is talking about, and that's the box office. This movie on its opening weekend made combined, I believe it was 54 million,
mhm.
domestic and international, with 29 million being domestic on a $200 million budget. And the talk is that this movie is a flop. And I would say don't let any of that talk discourage you from seeing this movie. I think there's
Mhm.
a lot of things going on there between the economy, between the falling down of the movie theater industry, because movies are thinly attended now in general. You see a major decline in the superhero movies, which people are attributing to superhero fatigue. But I was looking at some statistics this week that said that since 2021, movie movie ticket sales have decreased by 36%, and the price per
Mm.
ticket has increased by an equal margin to cover it. And even at the theater cons this year, the keynote speakers were criticizing the movie theaters because they had to make going to the movies more engaging, and stop using every opportunity to make money, stop putting advertisements on the screen before the movies, bring the magic back to the theaters to make it something families wanted to do. And I even at my theater, I saw a deal where you could pay $29 to watch unlimited movies in a month.
Ugh. I would see this movie 30 times. And it's funny that you say that. Yeah, that all that troll stuff and people being ridiculous about this movie and all the quips and stuff and oh I didn't like it. Most of them haven't even seen it. But I tell you, when it's so great to see on your timeline when you're going down. I saw this one guy today. He said he saw the movie 7 times.
Mm.
Now some people will say, "Oh, that's overkill." He broke it down and wrote maybe 4 paragraphs on why he went to see the movie and that he saw something different that he liked each time he went. And he said he didn't go by himself 7 times. He went with different groups of friends. He went with his work buddies. He went with his workout buddies. He went with his comic book friends. He went with his movie friends. He went with his girlfriends. He went with his kids. I mean, sometimes it's just like that. You're part of a huge circle of people that you love to be entertained with. And there's nothing wrong with that. Now, if you're seeing, to each his own, everybody likes something different. But uh, if he wanted to pay his money and support his movie to go see it, then I'm not mad at the guy. I think that's awesome to go out there and check it. If I could go out and see it 7 times, now maybe not 7, but I definitely would pay to see it at least 2 more times while it was on the big screen. I saw one of the new IMAX experiences. Was it called like the V screen or there's some new IMAX experience out there? And I saw a clip of it from what it looked like in the theater when that intro scene in the movie. And again, I'm not spoiling it for you guys, but when the intro came on and they showed it, it's like a connecting IMAX screen with 3 screens together in a rectangle horizontal. And I said I was in awe at how beautiful that looked. I was like, wow, because I even seen I didn't know this because I went last year to my first 40 movie experience. where you can feel all the effects from the movie. I saw the Twister remake in the 4D, and oh man, your back, you'll come out of that limping because those seats will beat you up. You can even feel the water mist when it was the hurricane was going on. So it was kind of cool experience, and I didn't even know that Masters of the Universe was uh, played in 4D theater. So I mean, that's something to look forward to. If I had the time to go and experience it in that, I would love to see that. And we're going to be reviewing a lot of movies coming up where, hey, this is the movie I want to see in IMAX. This is the movie
Imagine
I
smelling
love to see in
Merman in
4D.
that Master of the Universe movie.
Oh,
Like, was
oh yeah, or Moss Man.
is that
Yeah,
Merman or is that Evelyn?
yeah, yeah, that's true. Oh man, or it's a Skeletor. So yeah, I that that's another thing about this movie. Had a lot of laughs too. Now they did take a couple to the head about some of the subject matters of some of the jokes or some of the characters. They said the placement of the jokes or the tastefulness of the jokes. But all in all, good fun. We've all been to movies where there were jokes that we got and some jokes we didn't get that went over our head. But again, I don't think it's anything too harsh. It was just the director wanted to have some fun, and they did. And I think they proved their point. You can have fun, and they didn't take it so seriously. Now, if this movie was told from a Game of Thrones, where not knocking that because I thought it was a great series, but those movies where there aren't any humorous takes or lines, then I think this would have just been a Conan movie or something in that genre. But no, the cartoon was campy. Skeletor was funny, and he said some funny things in this movie. He-Man as well, Man at Arms as well. Uh, like again, I can't say enough about the actors and actresses. Uh, the actor that portrayed He-Man and Prince Adam, phenomenal job. I thought he captured the emotional aspect of it. He was empathetic. He was courageous. He felt invincible once he owned the role or the speaking parts of He-Man. He was a leader, but he also was humble. And we'll go more into that in the spoiler side. But I thought Tila was beautiful. She was gorgeous in the movie, played by Pammy Mendez. Um, uh, Idris Elba, as I've been corrected by many females, not Idris Elba. Uh, I thought he did a phenomenal job as Duncan Man at Arms. Every line you felt it. Every punch you felt it. Every smack with that scepter, he felt it. Trapjaw walked away from this movie like he's seen a train wreck, and he couldn't walk away from it. But again, I won't give any more of that away.
Yeah, a year ago when Telly told me that Idris Elba had been cast as Man at Arms, and he asked me how I felt about that, I told him Idris Elba could be cast as Tila, and I'd be like, let's just see how he does.
I think he could have pulled off Tila too.
Man has not done a lot of wrong in my mind. The man's pretty excellent.
As tough as Man at Arms was, Tila wasn't no slouch. She had some comedic lines in there, and a little bit of flirtation with He-Man, but not to give anything away. She wasn't no slouch. She brought her A game. She was the one you wanted beside you when you was going to battle with Skeletor. I would have liked to seen a little bit more double team between her and He-Man. But but I would have liked to see that more.
Wrong movie.
Wrong movie. But I would have liked to see some more He-Man, Tila fighting the bad guys together. But I mean, again, that's what you got sequels for. Fingers crossed. But overall, fantastic movie. I can't wait to talk about the spoilers.
Well, actually, Amazon was asked how they felt about the poor box office, and they said everything's going according to plan. In fact,
just like the diabolical people they are, because there's a spoiler scene that Amazon lets you know who they are, in the movie, and we'll talk about that later.
And in fact, the movie made 3 million Monday into Tuesday. So
Yeah.
I think
So I'm with you on that.
and
I think the
you
word of
had
mouth
some
is spreading.
statistic about DVD sales, right? Blu-ray sales.
Yeah. Currently, have Masters of the Universe, this movie that we went to see and reviewing right now, is number one in pre-orders, with several $1 million in pre-orders for a release date that's not even set yet. They don't even have the streaming for when it's going to go on Amazon Prime, which typically was usually around 2 months with this movie. So you're looking at probably uh, an August, July. Well, actually, you're probably looking at an August stream release on platforms like Amazon Prime to lead, and then you're looking at probably September for this movie to roll out on 4K Blu-ray and DVD. So if you are looking, it is listed on Amazon to be reserved on any of those uh, platforms, and you can reserve it. But yeah, the sales are leading Amazon right now for reserves of this movie. So if you really love this movie as much as we did, uh, I got my copy reserved already. So please check it out, and I think we're going to hear more and more about it with word of mouth. It's another weekend. I mean, the next big blockbuster movie for the summer doesn't come out to June 26th. So you got like 2 whole weekends before Supergirl comes out. So a lot of time for He-Man to rake in some more dough. And for if you want to have a good time with your kids and they like this type of stuff, please, I encourage you to take them. If you're grown people like we do that enjoy this kind of stuff, that grew up with the cartoon, the Funimation cartoon that came out in 1983, the original He-Man, check it out. You won't be disappointed.
Yeah, this movie's gonna have legs. I think. I think it's gonna keep earning for probably the rest of the month. Now, it's diminishing returns for the studio after the first weekend, so the studio's cut continues to diminish little by little. But let's not forget, this is an Amazon movie. They could have released this to their platform. In fact, I think the original idea was so. Them releasing it to the
Yeah.
theater was probably a gesture of goodwill to the theater. They were already going to make their nut on this. Nobody's eating Amazon's lunch on this movie. They're going to make their money. They're going to have it
Yeah.
exclusive on their platform, and everybody who wants to see He-Man in perpetuity is going to have to come to Amazon. So,
And another thing, uh, the people that know movies, and even in our genre and what we cover in our pop culture with comics, toys, merchandise sales are through the roof for this. I mean, not only did you have all the movie stuff at the movies, like the Castle Grayskull popcorn buckets, the power swords, things of that nature, you're going to see the figures. The action figures were out 2 months before the movie hit. They were out at Target and Walmart. They were available on Amazon, Entertainment Earth, Big Bad Toy Store. These He-Man figures, the sculptures, Sideshow Toys has got 2 sculptures. Mondo Toys have gotten figures. Those are the premium, expensive figures, and not your kids' toys. But for kids and adult collectors alone, this movie is moving merchandise. And I wouldn't be surprised by the end of the year, by December 2026, you'll forget the box office numbers, the DVD, Blu-ray, 4K sales, and the toy and merchandise sales, the T-shirts, everything. It's going to be the highest grossing merchandise movie probably of the year. So get ready
all
for
right.
that, critics and toxic people.
Just checked Rotten Tomatoes, and it's got a 67% critic score and an
Yeah.
87% audience score. So that's not too shabby. And apparently, it's made about 10 million since the weekend. So you can expect
Wow.
this thing to track. I would expect at least another 20 going into next week.
And another tidbit, I read this 2 days ago. Those numbers that we were reading, that we're talking about the box office and everybody wants to put in their 2 cents on, it hasn't hit overseas yet.
Not everywhere. It has some overseas release.
In some
Yeah, because
places, but it hasn't hit the major
there's a,
markets
there's a lot of
overseas yet.
countries it has not released in. Now, unusually, let me see. It says 25 million internationally. Um, I don't know how many countries how many countries is it not released? Yeah, because when I looked at the international numbers, it was only about 9 countries it had released in at the time.
Yeah,
And the interesting part was the country that it had done the second best in compared to the U.S. was in South America. I was like,
yeah,
oh wow, interesting.
yeah. Very interesting. So lot of things on tap. I really think, everywhere people work, every people go to school, comic book shops, all over social media, people are expressing the love for their movie, and I, I really think this is going to be a huge example of how word spreads about how good this movie is, and for whatever you're looking for, you're looking to be entertained, and also counting the people that stream it from home. You have the ability to do that now. We don't even have to go to the theater. So think about those times. People, because of gas prices, things affecting things. It's the summertime now. People on vacations. What happens? Hey, we're at the beach, but there's not a good local theater to go to. Hey, let's just get all the family and friends back to the hotel room and we'll stream it at the hotel and watch it as a family. So you're forgetting about that too. So a lot
Yeah,
of different ways people will be checking this movie out.
yeah. I feel like all the criticism was from the Snyder Bro types that walked into the theater hoping to get some mature, hard-boiled version the of the story they knew when they were kids. Because the criticism comes from the people that isn't what they wanted it to be. Where all the people that I know that are dads that took their kids, they walked into that movie and they saw the magic they were making and they walked out with smiles on their face. And they liked the fact that their kid liked it. I took my son. My
Yeah,
son never watched a He-Man thing in his life. He liked the movie overall. He felt like he was missing something because he didn't get the inside jokes and the cameos completely missed on him. But once I explained them to him, he was, oh, it was a pretty good movie.
yeah, that's great to hear. Great to hear.
I think we can stop and we could talk about Patreon for a minute. You can always check us out on Patreon, where we post each episode and update so you always know what is going on with the show. If you like the show and you want to help us keep the lights on while you are there, you can become patron. For as low as $2 a month, you can become a league member, and that will give you access to exclusive pre-show and post-show content each week, as well as the retro movie reviews. Or for just a little bit more, at $5 a month, you can become a Power League member, getting pre-show, post-show, retro reviews, a discount code for our merch store, and a producer credit in each and every episode. That's patreon.com/secret identities. Put it in your search bar, look for it in the show notes, or find it with the rest of our links with our Linktree QR code. I want to give special thanks to our Patreon Power League member, Hazy Eyed Girl. Thank you so much. Thank you for supporting us.
Yeah, thank you so much for. We appreciate the support. Uh, her and all of our members. We appreciate you.
Absolutely, yes. We're going to go ahead and we're going to close out the show. Roll credits. Be sure to look for Hazy Eyed Girl's name in the credits. And then after the credits, we're going to start our spoiler review. So if you've seen the movie, stick with us. You can hear our opinion on it. And if you haven't seen the movie, be sure to come back and listen to what we have to say once you're in the loop. See you guys next week, or some of you in a minute.
Thanks again for joining us. If you like what you saw, give us a like. If you didn't, let us know how we can do better. If you know someone else who might like us, please share. Help us boost the signal. For audio only, they can find us on Spotify by searching for Secret Identities Podcast. Or for full video, tell them they can find us on YouTube at Secret Identities Pod. And of course, every episode is free to listen on Patreon at www.patreon.com/secretidentities. We also share clips of the show occasionally on Instagram at secret_identities_media or on TikTok at secret_identities_pod. Be sure to check out those socials. Drop us a like, give us a follow, turn on notifications. That way you will always be updated so you never miss an episode. You can look out for our streaming schedule or just see some of the news and funnies that we share throughout the week. And don't forget to please follow us or subscribe wherever you are listening from.
So, spoiler review, Kelly. Tell me what you
Yes. Oh man, Jody, like I was saying in the last segment, now that we can talk about everything. Oh man, this movie it got you going at the beginning. You had the voiceover by Adam, and kind of learned about what he'd been through. So he's taking you through the story of what happened and how he got displaced on Earth and lost the power sword. So they were bringing it. They brought the rain. I mean, Skeletor and his evil minions, all the creatures look fantastic, and his soldiers they were raiding the castle, raiding the kingdom. With Adam's father is Roland, I believe.
Randor. King
Randor. King Randor. Yeah, King Randor, and the Queen, and I mean, just things were getting blown up. It was pretty awesome. So you got to see young Adam early on, of course, being kind of tutelaged by Man-at-Arms Duncan, played by Idris Elba, and I thought that was pretty cool. But it showed him very weak early on, because he was so younger, and I thought that was a pretty good lesson learned, and getting to see him kind of learn and grow to become He-Man. But I guess not really equipped. I would like to see more uh, of Adam trying to survive and kind of owning his craft a little more. Maybe like a voiceover from the teachings of Duncan Man at Arms would have been a little bit more cool. Maybe see him on a couple of missions and stuff. Maybe seeking the Snake Mountain, something like that. Kind of like a young Robin under Batman type thing. I would like to see a little bit more of that. But I mean, those action sequences at the beginning were incredible, because that's where you got the Man-at-Arms versus Trapjaw, round one. So I thought that was really cool. What did you think of the intro?
Well, I didn't have problems with it at the time when I was watching it. Now, I don't have a serious problem with it. I don't think it was bad by any stretch of imagination. But the one thing I think we should have seen is that Adam gets sent to our world. Spoiler. And he spends his entire life fantasizing about going back home. And he understands he has a responsibility to fight for Eternia, but it seems he's made no effort to learn how to fight or train while he was waiting. And I think that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It doesn't shout character to me. Now, I think one of the reasons that might be is I think the movie was trying to make a point that He-Man might be strong, but Adam's real power isn't in his strength; it's in his heart. It's in his ability to unite people and so forth. And He-Man is just so damn strong that he doesn't need to know how to fight. I guess,
Yeah,
but
that's
I
true.
just feel like spending 15 years on Earth hoping to go back home. I mean, you didn't have to go Sarah Connor, but you could have gone and done some mixed martial arts.
Yeah, that's true. What kind of threw me off too was funny was that of course Adam was single. He was roommated with a buddy of his, I guess, coworker or college friend or something like that. Adam worked in human resources, which was kind of funny. Uh, and the lady that was his boss, I think they had a little one off or two when she found out that he was distracted and obsessed by the sword. I thought that was nice that they added some comedic things because any of us that's worked in an office, you kind of get these people that are seems like they're watching. You know what it reminded me of? It kind of reminded me of Transformers 2 when Shia LaBeouf worked, or was it 3, where he worked in the building, the corporate office, and you know, they were watching over him because they thought he was a Decepticon or something like that. So that was kind of cool to see that. But yeah, I would like to see a little bit more of his growth. Because he didn't look like he was in any kind of shape. When he saw Tila in the age difference of 15 years, he was like, "You're Tila?" He's like, "Wow." I mean, yeah, she's a warrior. I mean, like, you're under that vest and that t-shirt. You're supposed to be too. I did like from the imagination aspect. It took me back to being a kid, and this may be very minuscule to anybody else that's watching, but I can relate because I'm an artist. Is the drawings, the obsessiveness that he had with finding his way home, but drawing all the creatures from his home world, all the characters, whether they were bad guys or they were good guys. Those were awesome. I wish they would have showed a little bit more in depth of what that it was, so you could kind of grasp the extent of what he went through. I mean, he drew the sword, he drew Snake Mountain, he drew Skeletor, the Fisto and all those characters, Man at Arms. But I wish he would have went a little bit more in depth of, him drawing that stuff out and showing people. But it was kind of cool that he was telling all of his dates uh, the same story about his home world of Eternia and things of that nature. So
I
yeah,
tell you, the human resources thing you mentioned, when I was watching the movie and they had him working in human resources, I was like, I guess this is just a part of the joke. The joke is that he's working the most mind-numbing, brain-dulling job in corporate America you could possibly work. But then later on in the movie, when they're in the prison scene and he uses his human resources skills to unite Eternia, I thought, oh, that's interesting. He's the chosen one because he can unite people, not
yeah,
because he has the power of Grayskull. So like at his
yeah,
heart, he is who he is because and he gravitated towards that field because of who he is. So I think that was very cool.
yeah. I like that.
Little
Uh,
nitpicks. Cringer's voice.
we got a lot of yeah. At the beginning, he had like a child's voice. I mean, if that was the case, that should have been his voice when he was a cub when they first
Exactly.
showed him.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I was like, what?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like,
I did not like
uh,
Cringer's voice when he was little. I was like, no, come on, that's not
no,
right.
no, no, that wasn't right. I would like to see Panther.
Yeah,
Skeletor's
I agree.
Panther.
I agree.
I,
Yeah,
I would like to
I
see
was
that.
wondering
Yeah,
why we hadn't seen it too. Now, I think we probably didn't see it because we kind of already seen it. You know, you got one big cat in the show. Now, a lot of people I was reading
yeah,
online, a lot of people were saying having Panther in the Castle Grayskull scene would have been perfect
yeah.
because Battle Cat could have taken them in and then fought with Panther while Tila was fighting with Evelyn and
Evil Man.
He-Man was fighting with
Yeah,
Skeletor.
yeah. I would have liked to have seen that. Um, they the set pieces again were incredible. The way the world looked, it was so colorful. Uh, I was taken aback on how it looked. The only quip I had was, and we talked about this. Uh, it looked like Castle Grayskull was like right in the backyard of the castle of Eternia,
Castle Grayskull.
and yeah, it was very small. It looked like a walkthrough, like it had no rooms in it,
It was the
and it was just
mother-in-law
like,
apartment, Grayskull. Grayskull
yeah,
mother-in-law
yeah.
apartment. Yeah, mother-in-law
I mean, you
suite.
literally could hit the sorceress in the head with a stone from the drawbridge from the bridge. So yeah, I thought that was weird. Sorceress, love Morena Baccarin and everything she's been in. Beautiful woman, great actress, but I think she was toned down a lot. It seemed like for the show,
I think
for the movie.
I think
Uh,
her portrayal was pretty wooden. I agree with you completely. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, she had no outspoken smarts. She's supposed to be, from the cartoon lore. It turns out that she was the mother of Tila. So for those of you who didn't know, there's a little trivia there for you. But I think she could have took on a more motherous type of feel. And the costume could have been real feathered wings, even if you had to throw in a little CG there, because she just had like a robe on with the orange and blue and white colors, and I just didn't feel like it was enough.
I think that they gave the best sorceress lines to the bird version of
Yeah, that is true. Yeah. So I would like
her.
to see a little bit more of the sorceress and maybe, throw in that hint when Tila's losing evil and the sorcerer steps in and says something nurturing to Tila to make you think like, oh man, what's going on here? And then
Now,
maybe save the reveal for later on.
it's interesting that you mentioned it. Well, since we're talking about characters' portrayals, I would say one of the weakest portrayals in the whole movie was Alison Brie. I love Alison Brie, but her portrayal of Evelyn, I feel like she was in the wrong movie. Like Jamie Foxx in Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2 wrong movie. Like she was just she played her character as silly witch villain from a kids movie. I don't feel like she played it to the
Yeah,
same level as every other character in the movie. And I like her. I like her in other
yeah,
things. I love her in Community. I just feel like somebody didn't give her notes because she's pretty, but she did not carry her part very well. But the reason what made
yeah.
me think of
I,
her, got
no, not to interrupt you. I kept thinking of where I seen like an evil sorceress type woman, the black lipstick or purple on and the crown and personified evil, just basically the female version of Skeletor. And I go, Maleficent. That's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see like evil, ha ha ha. I'm the female version. It's when the bumbling creatures that follow Skeletor were out of line, I wanted to see Evelyn look at them and them cower
I'm
when she
behind you.
looked at them with her crystal ball staffs, something like that. And then the one ups with Skeletor, it kind of seemed like the lines were out of place. Like they weren't on the same page. Like he would say something that said it, and then they purposely said, "Oh no, I meant now." Like the Spaceballs. thing. No, we're past that. Where are we? We're here. Where's here right now? And, that's what it seemed like. It's like they were in two totally different movies.
Right.
Like,
Like,
why are their lines don't add up?
yeah,
Like, it's like they weren't fighting a common enemy.
Evelyn in the cartoon had
Yeah.
kind of a haughtiness to her, where
Yeah.
she wasn't one of Skeletor's bumbling buffoon henchmen. She was there for her own reasons. She had her own dignity, and I don't feel like Allison Brie carried that at all. Now, the way, honestly, the way they seem to portray her in this movie is almost like she was a hostage, like she was an abused spouse that couldn't leave, because every time he would do something to her, she'd have this look on her face like, I should get out now. Like it just didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like, and I just feel like it's so inconsistent with who that character is supposed to be. But what got me thinking about her is that you mentioned the fight between her and Tila. I was listening to an interview with Allison Brie, and she was talking about how difficult it was to do that fight and the choreography they had to do, and they had to learn it in stages because they had to learn the fight in rehearsal, and then they had to learn the fight in heels, and then they had to learn the fight in full costume, and it would change every time because they had a new element of their clothing to deal with. But she was talking about one of the hardest parts was doing that fight in heels, going backwards upstairs. But there was no scene like that in the movie.
I didn't think of that.
So I have a feeling there was a lot more substance to that fight, or maybe both of those fights, and we might see that in the Blu-ray outtakes or maybe special edition with extra footage, so forth.
I can't wait for that. I definitely can't wait for that for the Blu-ray to see all the stuff that was left on the cutting room floor, all the making of and stuff. I can't wait to see all of that. Just getting into the movie. Now that we're in the spoiler side of things, I thought the movie was very well paced. There was a couple of moments in the middle where it kind of dragged a little bit, but I think it picked up when Tila came to Earth by spaceship. She just suddenly showed up and she said that she found the power sword or the signature. That was kind of abrupt. And then the fight with Beastman, which I was a little taken back because I understand what he was used for, but I just felt that Beastman was used in the wrong way. Beastman was more like the head of the cronies for Skeletor in the cartoon. I wish he was more of the orange color that was in the cartoon. I thought the costume was passable. He was a lot bigger than he was in the cartoon. He's more like gorilla-esque. His fate was pretty funny when he lost the battle with Tila and Adam, where he got hit by an Amazon truck. I thought that was pretty hilarious. But to show that Amazon was in charge, that was cool.
What threw me was how animalistic he was, to the point where when he was groveling in front of Skeletor, I was surprised that he was talking. I was like, wait a minute, this guy can talk? Like, you figured from the way he was portrayed here on Earth and in that highway fight, you would not have guessed that animal could talk. So you figured that there should have been some element of that in his portrayal on both sides of that. But I tell you what, it afforded me a jump scare when he got hit by that truck. No, it wasn't when he got hit by the truck. It was when he was still on the bridge. I think when Adam thought he had gotten away from him, and he jumped up and he hit him when sent the sword flying. Jareth and I both got jump scared. We were like, ah!
Yeah. Didn't see that one come. But like I said, you felt the punches in this movie. I thought it was very well choreographed. A little silliness, and we'll get to that later. when He-Man was fighting Skeletor, when he was doing the punches and stuff, I was like, yeah, um, yeah, that was a little weird how
I
they
do
set
think
that up.
the Skeletor fight was underwhelming, and that's another reason why I think that there's a chance that those were cut down to size, because if you look at the scope between the Trapjaw fight between He-Man and the Snake Mountain fight between He-Man and the other henchmen, James, by the way, I think Master Universe owes us some money, because there's a very familiar scene in that. Well, when I watched it, I started blushing a little bit because I thought somebody had been reading our comic. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I was like, should I be
yeah,
mad
James,
right now?
We'd like to hear your opinion of that in the comments, if you noticed that. But yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I loved, again, Man at Arms. I thought it was a little weird that they pulled a Tony Stark with the alcoholism, you know, him taking it pretty rough that he failed King Randor, Adam, Tila, and he failed Tila as a father. He took it very hard, because when he woke up when he was sleeping down on the ground, and it turned out to be him, I was like, oh no. And
you
then
didn't know? I from the moment I saw that lump on the ground, I was like, that is Man at Arms, and I do think.
Nah, I didn't think they were going to go that direction.
I do think it was a little heavy-handed to make him a fall-down drunk because he failed, but I feel like they had no
That's
choice.
a pretty steep fall.
But I feel, yes, I understand. But if he had not, then he would have failed for 15 years straight. So
yeah,
it's almost better that he failed in the fight with Trapjaw, and then almost a survivor's guilt paralyzed him for 15 years, than to learn that he had led a failing resistance for 15 years while Adam was gone, right? So it's almost better the way it is, even though I feel like it diminishes the character slightly. I feel like 15 years of failure after being a badass like he is would be even worse a failure.
Well, yeah, because I mean, in that time he developed Roboto, but he said that the failure there was that he kept trying to kill him. So, it was just like, man, I can't get anything right. That's what he kind of felt. So I understand what it meant for the story. I just felt like, but I tell you what, I did like the way he snapped out of it later on, because, he did take some ownership. He laughed when Adam said, "You don't recognize me, you don't know who I am?" He said, "Oh, I know who you are. You're King Randor's boy." He says, "You do remember me." He said, "I remember you. That basically you're a horrible student and you can't fight with a lick." So how, I see where that got. But then he had to prove himself to him, and by that he was inspired, and that's when you got the badasser Man at Arms later on.
Nothing more badass than that first scene with him and Lockjaw. In fact, I would say they almost blew their look. Oh yeah, Trapjaw. I'm sorry, Trapjaw, not the dog from Inhumans. I would say, unfortunately, his best scene was at the beginning of the movie before he had fallen, because that fight with Trapjaw was far better than any of his fights afterwards. Now, when I saw that fight with Trapjaw, I was like, "Oh, Telly is going to be in heaven for this one. This is his Mr. Terrific moment."
Yeah.
I mean,
I like the second fight when Trapjaw killed or destroyed Roboto.
Really?
And he snapped. Yeah, because when he jumped in the air and they put it in slow motion, and he was coming when he pulled the scepter out and he was diving towards him and he went at him, that was pretty good.
I mean,
when he
I get
when he
I
jumped
get
over
the
the
moment. I get the moment, but from a combat choreography perspective, the fight with Trapjaw was far
oh
more
yeah,
interesting. Far more interesting.
yeah.
So, and I
Yeah.
feel like
Um,
for that reason, the movie's just kind of lopsided a little bit, though, because your best action is in the front and the middle, and in the end, all the battle sequences kind of a little bit shitty. You get good resolutions, but I just don't feel like the action sequences were good in the back end of the movie as they were in the front and the middle of the movie. You figure you got Man at Arms and Trapjaw, and then you have essentially the speeder bike chase. You have the bridge fight with Tila,
yeah,
Adam, and Beastman. The like I said, the speeder bike chase with the sky sled. Like what?
yeah. Yeah, that was a throwback to see that with the Sky Sled because I'm like, there's no back support on that thing whatsoever. It's like you're grabbing into it, and you're holding on for dear life, and then if you decide to make a left turn or go over somebody, if you let go of those, you're done because there's
That's
no
how
back
He-Man
support
gets
on
so
that thing.
strong. That's how He-Man got so strong. He has
Yeah,
to hold
hold
on to
on
that
all
sky sled.
muscles, just the walk and everything, and uh, yeah. I would like to see Wind Raider because that was one of my favorite vehicles with the grappling hook and that was kind of like Man at Arms vehicle because it was the same color as he was. It was
Mm.
green and yellow. So, uh, but I mean that's more or less what that you can use more you can use for the sequel. Uh, I would have liked to see the battles progress, especially that last battle, be a little bit more anticlimactic. I mean, you got to give some the Marvel movies the all the fights mean something, and when you're it just felt that like that last fight was on the steps in Castle Grayskull or wherever that Skybound. It just didn't feel like it was going anywhere. Like you know, oh well, Skeletor's getting away. Well, let's move along and get him. There was no kind of like a final boss type feel like in a video game where there was a progression. Like there should have been a big giant something that He-Man needed to fight, a big rock monster or two of them together, where it shows his
Energon and
strength
Trap
off
Beast.
more. Yeah, yeah, there you go, something. And I mean, some God of War PS5 type video game monsters. He needed to fight some big threat before he got to Skeletor, and that showed his heroicness more, and where his followers or the freedom fighters rallied behind him because you showed the strength of He-Man. So do the whole thing with the sorceress. He-Man is losing. He's getting taken apart and held by one of the rock monsters, and he's trying to fend off more. Where Skeletor is getting closer to his goal because He-Man's fighting both of these monsters with no power sword. Skeletor's got the power sword, and I'm getting away, He-Man. And he's looking back like, He-Man, no way He-Man's going to get to me. And, and the sorcerer steps in, gives him the whole speech like he did about, this is why I chose you for the sword. It's the power is not in the sword, it's in you. And then she opens up like a phoenix and the power goes off and he finally gets the Skeletor and then they have that big struggle that you and I talk about. And boom, you got to set up for, they're fighting on top of Castle Grayskull, 600 feet from the ground or something like that.
I tell you
Higher stakes.
that was that was a very surprising. Um, how do I put this? It it wasn't surprising as you've seen this a half a dozen times in other movies where the power's in you all along. But what was really it was the Jeff Johns moment of it was when she's like, "What do you say?" "Oh, I have the power." Like it's been there in front of us the whole time, right? So I was like, that's
Finally.
that's so clever. It's like So it's not a surprising moment in the movie. It's surprising that they found a way to put it in your face and be like, "Ha! It's been there all along." You know,
Ah,
it's like,
yeah, like Martha.
oh, don't start me on Martha.
Oh,
We're gonna
yeah.
talk about Martha in
Uh,
an episode. It's not what you guys think.
oh,
Trust me.
yeah, we are. We are. We're gonna talk about it.
Yeah, he doesn't want to get me started on
Anywho,
that tonight.
yeah, Flint, Duke, Martha. Who
Oh,
cares?
we're talking about that one.
Yeah. Stay tuned.
Now,
But uh,
now, one other complaint I have about a casting, and it's a minor thing, but
I know what you're gonna say.
King Randor, James
Oh,
Purefoy,
oh no,
James
there's one more
Purefoy
after.
as King
Yeah.
Randor. Um,
Yeah.
this is a movie that makes you believe there's a dude with a metal jaw and a hook for an arm, but the old man makeup on James Purefoy was like your Christmas nativity play. You know, it's like someone stole
Yeah.
one of the wise men from your local church for a movie. And like I was like looking, I was like, I thought it was Thomas Jane. I was like, is that Punisher as
No.
E-Man's dad?
Uh,
he looked not good in my opinion. I mean, I guess if you put him next to the cartoon, you'd be like, oh yeah, that's the exact same guy. But I just feel like in a movie that successfully does monster makeup, they did a terrible job at old makeup. And when you can't make an old man look
he,
like an old man, he does something wrong.
well, he he had that just men beard touch up makeup on when they showed him in current time, as opposed to when he was when Adam was younger, when he challenged him with the sword when he was training with Man at Arms and Tila in the courtyard. It was just like, well, when we get the Blu-ray, we'll be able to analyze and look. We probably can't think of
Well,
what they look like
it's
then,
funny.
but
It's funny because
he had very little grace.
in when I was watching the movie, I was like, oh man, his dad is a dick. But I got to thinking
Oh
about
yeah,
it.
yeah,
The only time you're really hearing about his father, or you're seeing those scenes about his father, that's really just Adam telling his story to people on Earth. So I think you probably have like an unreliable narrator situation where Adam thought his father was disappointed with him. He always took his uh, criticism of his fighting skills very, very seriously. But it's probably a situation where, as a dad, he was probably a better dad than Adam remembers, possibly.
yeah, yeah. Well, he didn't have the ghetto struggle because he was a prince and his dad was a king, so they weren't struggling to keep the lights on. Maybe when they had the castle built right next to Castle Grayskull, they saved a lot on property value, so
I
they
mean,
weren't struggling in the ghetto.
I think Castle Graysmall was actually a doghouse when they first had the castle built.
Yeah,
That
maybe
was
that dog should have came out before He-Man and gave him some competition in this movie because it
that
was
was
a cakewalk to beat Skeletor.
that was Cringer's scratching post back there. It's just Castle Grayskull looked so small. It looked like a small apartment. Like it was like a one room studio apartment out back behind the castle. I mean,
Yeah,
even
yeah.
Snake
Um,
Mountain. Snake Mountain looked badass in this movie, but their version of Castle
oh yeah,
Grayskull,
because it was away from everything.
yeah, their version of Castle Grayskull. This I was like, that looks tiny. That's not that cool, you know.
Well, it didn't look as bad as the Castle Grayskull, which was an oil paint that they zoomed in on in the '87 movie.
Oh man,
That
yeah.
thing looked like a pirate ship from Chester Copperpot in Goonies. I was like, what is that? Like,
Well,
ooh
you
man,
heard
that's
my
not scary
opinion
at
on
all.
that last week. Yeah, I think that all the
Yeah,
set pieces in that movie were terrible. Now, it's funny that you said earlier about how you were happy with the colors. I think I'm disappointed with
how little color there was to Eternia, how little substance we got to see of Eternia, and it's
Yeah,
implied.
you
It's
didn't get to see
implied. Well,
the forest and
I guess the forest scenes must be really forgettable because when I first started thinking about this criticism, I'd completely forgotten about the speeder bike chase in the forest with the sky sled. But when you figure this is a place that's got floating mountains, it's got sea people, it's got bird people, it's like all that stuff, and to imply that, well, you've been gone for 15 years, so Skeletor took over and made the place ugly. This doesn't make sense to me. You don't take a whole world and you can subjugate the people, but you don't turn the whole world dark and ugly because you're not there. So Eternus being broken, okay, that's fair, but to not see any of the majesty, none of the Pandora of Eternia is just like, doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. You get a whole world that's supposed to be
I agree.
beautiful and fanciful and all that other stuff. So, what, Skeletor can only rule such a large area. So why didn't the Resistance, Fisto and Ram Man and all the other inappropriately named characters go live in one of the nice places while be like, we'll be back. We're gonna go over
they clean up everything else. Yeah, we'll be back.
Fisto's rubbing,
That's
like
funny.
oiling up his hand.
Give me some head, right, man? Yeah. It was a couple of one-liners in there that had me on. I was like, wow, this is hilarious. Like, man, they took it over the top. But yeah, it just seemed like it was a little unorganized where what the goal was and where it was going and what it was going to lead to. But I mean, overall, I still think it was a terrific movie. Besides, when we're reviewing these movies, we're looking for things that we like, things we didn't like, things we had little issues with and quips, but also things we would do differently if we produced this movie or directed it. So, a lot of people got a lot of different ideas, and I read a lot of stuff out there on social media of things that they would have liked to see or things that they may end up doing in the sequel. They didn't want to spill everything in the first movie. I mean, we saw a lot of stuff and a lot of potentials. There are 3 after credits scenes that we can let everybody know about because this is a spoiler review. Once they get back from seeing this, we probably should have told them to say after in the beginning of this video, but it's fine. We can talk about them now. Let's discuss them. The first one was a friendly little character that we're familiar with from the 1983 cartoon. But man, when he appeared on the screen right before the first roll of credits, I was like, where did he come from? And it was Orko, but he looked animated
Busted.
and squished, and like, there's not enough room for me.
When it
he
popped
like
on the screen,
one of them.
Go ahead.
He looked like one of those mascot costume people that you hire, or when you catch them on the camera with their hat off or their hood off, you're like, that's who's in that costume?
When he came on the screen, I thought, oh, this is an Easter egg. This is like a puppet show at the castle, and they're making a joke, and this is a puppet of a character we haven't seen.
Yeah.
So when I found out that was the real Orko, I was like, what? Like, I mean, I don't know what I would have made Orko look like.
Fast.
I'd say I don't know what I'd make Orko look like, but to say what in the world we live in, you don't have to make Orko look like anything. Orko could look like Orko. You could have CG'd the little guy and had him floating around all over the place, not looking like a puppet off a
Yo Gabba Gabba. It was not good looking. Like, I mean, if I had to criticize any effect in this movie,
No.
it was not the craft of Orko. It was the choice of Orko. The way they made him look was, I think,
Yeah.
one of the biggest mistakes. It's like they felt the need to adapt him when he didn't need to be adapted.
Yeah, true. I'm pretty sure we'll see more of him in the second movie, if
I
there
hope
is
not.
one.
I hope
Uh,
he pulls the puppet off and he's a little floating cartoon guy. I would be fine if they Roger Rabbit
Yeah.
it just made him a freaking cartoon. You know, you're in a world with Beast
true.
Guy and
I can
Fish
see that.
Guy and
Let's see. Then the rest of them, Singor, I would like to see him and Buzz off, and what happened to your boy Triclops, man?
oh no,
Did he get a memo?
yeah, like
Oh,
no,
what
you
she
mean
did this-
you mean there wasn't Triclops, it was one Clops. He just had one Clops. Like, why did they not put more? I mean, could we at least
Yeah,
see him? You know, he's got the sniper rifle when they're in that hideout. You should have at least like seen him change eyes to sniper eye
Yeah.
or something. Just like he was just a dude with a freaking visor on, like he's freaking Lobot from Star Wars, man. It's like, that's not Triclops, that's one Clops.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
one Clops on that guy. No extra Clopses.
Yeah. That dude, he looked like he had something to say, and he never got the chance to say it. Now, I'd be interested if he had a deleted scene on the Blu-ray.
Yeah, somebody left some Clopses on the editing floor.
Hopefully he has something. Yeah, something. He got a cease and desist letter from Skeletor. Don't you be out there talking. We just keep your eyes on everything.
You mean his eye?
So,
His eye.
Yeah, his eye. I would like to see many faces, with the robot face and human face and the monster face, and switch around and stuff like that. Stratos, there's rumors that the distress call at the end could have been from the bird people, where they are part of Eternia, so we could see that. What were you gonna say?
Something I wanted to talk about was Nicholas Galitzine. That's He-Man. He-Man Prince Adam.
Who's he?
That's He-Man Prince Adam.
Oh yeah, yeah.
When he was first
Yeah, I
cast,
thought
and I
he would
saw.
have been. I thought.
Good.
No, go ahead.
When he was first cast, and I saw him in the trailer, I was like, I don't know if this guy's got this thing. You know, I thought he looked too much like an Abercrombie model for me. But I was really impressed with his portrayal. He was able to do the funny. He was able to do the seriousness. He really captured the duality between Adam and He-Man in a real way, and like his facial expressions really captured that.
Yeah. I thought he was. I mean, they found a kid that looked just like him as an adult, and I just like, wow, like he was spot on. The kid did a wonderful job. He did a great job. He was empathetic. He his mannerisms. I thought he was funny. He was humble. He was very outspoken. He was a leader. I think he did a lot of great things as this character, and I hope that this movie gets at least another movie, if not a trilogy. From what I've read, just as this morning, majority of the characters that were signed up, actors and actresses that were signed up for multiple movies of this. Whether they come out or not is one thing. I don't care if the second one only makes it to streaming. I'll be happy with that. But I would love to see 2 more movies out of this and see the progression of the story with He-Man, the actor to play He-Man, as well as Skeletor, and if it moves on to Hordak, which leads us into the second after credit scene, which had She-Ra. And for those people in our audience that don't know who She-Ra is, who is She-Ra, Jody?
She is a very similar character to He-Man. She's Princess Andorra. She is the long-lost sister of Prince Adam. She was stolen away by Hordak and taken into an alternate dimension when she was a baby, and she grew up to be his pain in the butt. Evil Hordak is kind of like the Skeletor for that world, except he can transform himself into weird stuff like a GoBot, which, as scary as Hordak was when I was a kid, it was only my memory was only refreshed about the GoBot transformation stuff when I was looking at something recently, and I was like, "Oh yeah, he did do that. That was pretty silly."
Yeah. Yeah, so the She-Ra spinoff, I was listening to some commentary from the director, and he was just talking about how the rights were tied up between the companies that owned them, and they had to get permission in order to use her in the way that they did. He was very excited to get her into the movie, and hopefully we'll be doing a spinoff or having her in the sequel. But he doesn't want to announce the actress as of yet until he gets things cleared. So that's something that we'll be seeing and hearing more of in the future. But I think it'll be a great jump on point for people to learn about her. It'll show attention to the old cartoon, and I think it'll play for some good added story elements for the next movie or next movies. So,
I see.
and lastly, the third after credit scene. Oh, go ahead.
I would worry about the She-Ra story being the next movie. Like I would very much like to see it.
Yeah.
But I think that should be the third movie. And the reason I say that is because we've already been robbed of seeing Eternia in this first movie. And I feel like if we get She-Ra in the next movie, you're gonna have He-Man go, and they're gonna be in the Hordak's dimension, and that is much darker than anything we saw in this movie. So like, give me a good, fun Eternia story for the next film. You know, we got plenty of stories we could tell. You could do the Tila's quest story where Tila finds out she's the sorceress's daughter, and she has to be on a big thing. You know, you could have, you know, like sweeping landscapes like Avatar. You could have, you know, some jaunt across the world. You go to oceanscapes, and you go to flying islands and all that other stuff. And then in the third movie, we could do the dark again.
Yeah, I can see that. I would like to see that. And then the third after credit scene was Evil Lynn finding Skeletor. What'd you think about that?
Predictable. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, we knew Skeletor wasn't gone, you know. So I really think it's almost unnecessary as an after credit scene. It's almost like a no-brainer that Skeletor wasn't really. True. So like if I had to choose something else, I would probably have chosen something else. Yeah, I mean, because like, yeah, of course he's not gone.
Yeah, well, I meant to ask you this. I meant to ask you this. Did you notice really quick, and it was maybe 10 seconds in the movie, did you notice when Evil Lynn went to talk to Skeletor, he was laying on his slab of concrete sleep?
Yeah.
That was weird, wasn't it? I was like, what's he doing?
Well, I think it's supposed to be implying that it was like a death trap
like a cryogenic sleep or something.
like a Death Shroud situation.
Yeah.
Like, I think they're playing up, which, see, that would concern me, because that would imply to me that whoever wrote that scene does not understand any of the origins for Skeletor, which I was watching a YouTube video or a Facebook video earlier, and they were talking about how he doesn't respond until his minion Pig Boy gets close to his head. He's very protective of his head. But like we discussed last week, there's two origins for Skeletor. One, the retcon is that's Keldor, Prince King Randor's brother, and that's from the 2002 series. But the original comic book origin implies that Skeletor lost his face because of a dark curse. None of those things mean that he's actually dead. So him lying on some slab as a corpse just does not track. So I feel like somebody is conflating him having a skull for a face to him being some kind of zombie, and that's not the case. That's why he's got a fully ripped 8-pack. You know?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. From that cartoon, that was that. What happened? Something about the Havoc staff is what burned off Skeletor's face. I remember reading that about that series, and the other piece that I found out too, after doing a little digging, they had that Fisto ended up being Man at Arms' brother.
Not in this movie, he ain't.
But yeah,
brother from another mother, maybe.
Yeah. Not this movie, getting after this one. That's something. Yeah, it's just like this. Yeah, a lot of crazy stuff. And
Fisto's apparently got albinism.
Then they asked the director. They asked they asked the director that, and he said, yeah, that's nothing that we're going to chase after, because you don't need to have a movie with a following like this, and everybody needs to be related. So I'm glad he answered that question.
Yeah, and that's a fairly good art. We have a tendency in comics to do what's called small worlding, and I don't think this movie requires a whole lot of small worlding. You don't need everybody to be related.
Yeah. That's true.
Now, I guess
you don't need everybody to be related.
I guess it never occurred to me when I was younger, but how the hell did She-Ra know anything about Grayskull? She's from a whole different world. She's never even been around Grayskull since she was a baby. How did she even know anything about Grayskull?
Yeah.
Grayskull wasn't even on the planet that she was on.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Orko told her. He was doing a birthday party on her world. And he said, "Hey, I remember you." He said, "When you come to my planet, come by Grayskull." Oh, you mean that place behind the castle? Yeah. I thought that
she was on her OnlyFans, and one of her subs.
Shit.
She was on OnlyFans. One of her subs sent her a message about Grayskull. She's like, "Oh, yeah. Grayskull, I can do that. Yeah, cosplay."
Is Grayskull the she shed? No, it's the he shed. But yeah, that would have been crazy. But also too, for you soundtrack fans out there for 80s music, check out the Masters of the Universe soundtrack. It's available on all music platforms like YouTube Music, Spotify, Apple Music. There isn't a physical release as of yet for it. Believe me, I'll look, because you're talking to somebody that has a physical media CD for the Transformers '86 movie, and I play that weekly. It's on my playlist.
Outside of the score,
have a Masters of the Universe playlist.
Outside of the score, there was some really interesting needle drops in this movie. When you had Sad Adam on Earth, you had a piano version of Boys Don't Cry by The Cure, and that led into the next morning actual version of Boys Don't Cry from The Cure. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. Like, I never would have expected to hear a song like that in this movie. And then later in the movie, you have a Queen song that I'm pretty sure was also used in Flash Gordon.
So I was like,
Yeah.
this is a really interesting choice to use this song because Queen not only did the music for Flash Gordon, they also did the entire soundtrack for Highlander. So I kind of feel like it was intentionally drawing a connection between
Mhm.
these three franchises, and I was like, "Wow, what an interesting choice!" And it never would have occurred to me at the time, but I guess
There's
He-Man on film is kind of a Flash Gordon kind of film. Good.
hmm if you when you put together the video for our fans out there, this recording, uh, see if you can pull. There's a clip from the director that's out there on social media, where he talks about all that connection from what you just said about the soundtrack and the song choices. There's a reason for that, and he explains it. I can't recall it now because I've watched so much stuff. If I find it, I'll send you the link. But definitely check that out and insert that in if you can, just for our fans to be able to hear and get an explanation for that. Because I think you'll be surprised at the explanation he gave. It was
If I
pretty
can
pretty
find
awesome.
it,
So
you'll be able to watch it right there.
right there,
No, the other side.
right
That right
there,
there.
that side. Your
That's where
side.
it'll be.
Yeah, I mean, music is a huge character in every movie that I've made, and certainly in this one. I work with an extraordinary composer, Daniel Pemberton, who I've been a big fan of for years. This is the first time we've worked together. And in our earliest conversations we had, one of the touchstones that I mentioned was Flash Gordon, the 80s Flash Gordon movie, which was famously scored by Queen. And I was a huge fan of Queen growing up. I still am. Every right-thinking person is.
Yeah.
But there was something that felt like it was perfectly suited for Master of the Universe in the sense that it's big, it's theatrical, it's operatic, it's larger than life, and yet there's a sincerity underneath
Yeah.
all of it that's like a real heart to their music. And so I couldn't have imagined that we'd actually get Brian May
Yeah.
to actually play on the score. And Daniel and I were talking about how there's not enough guitar solos in modern film scores, and who better than Brian May to bring that stuff to life? And he was absolutely extraordinary.
I might be funny and move it every time you point.
On your left, Sam. Yeah, that will be it. I'm trying to remember if there's anything we're missing. Um, see, your we talked about.
I have
Spike
one. I
Horror.
have one thing that was a weird choice. I think that they were intentionally trying to have something for every fan, including fans of the '87 movie. '87, that's right.
Yeah.
But of all of the henchmen they used Karg from the 1987 Master Universe movie, which I thought was a weird choice. Like, we don't get a merman, but we get Karg. And it's even weirder choice because Karg had a hook for a hand, and we got Trapjaw. Like what?
Yeah.
I mean, we got
That
Spikor
is
and
a weird
Karg,
choice.
but we didn't get Merman. And honestly, spot on job making Karg over again. It looked like they ripped him right out of those movies, but I could have done without seeing him again. It really that Easter egg does me no favors because of how little regard I have for that film. Oh, what do you think of the Dolph
that's true.
Lundgren?
That
Dolph
is
Lundgren
that is
cameo?
a weird choice. Oh, I thought that was awesome. It was hilarious. Them both in the weight room because Dolph Lundgren being so known for his physique at such a young age, and them and then this He-Man or Adam trying to solicit some advice from him. So I thought that was pretty cool. The little signal that he had, and Dolph Lundgren was excited to be in the movie.
Well, I don't know if you know
He
this.
said that he will be willing to come back as a pivotal character.
I don't know if you know this, but Dolph Lundgren just got cleared from being diagnosed with cancer, so Dolph Lundgren's excited to be doing anything right now.
Yeah, that's true. He's a great guy. I would love to see him come back to the movie if there's a sequel or a trilogy. He said he would be interested in playing the character Grayskull.
I I liked that he was
But
there for the Easter egg,
I think that
but
would be awesome if he got a chance to do so.
yeah, I liked that he was there for the Easter egg, but I think it was the wrong choice of Easter egg. I just think that if you had made him someone in the
Oh,
world,
that's true.
there would be room for him to come back in the world. So making him some Earthling just doesn't make any sense. Or
Yeah.
what we said before about Adam should have been training in his downtime. It would have been nice. I mean, hey, he could have been his boxing coach or something like that. Like, you could have had something of more substance to that instead of some stranger he met in a gym. You could have done it in the same amount of film. It just would have been more substance. Go ahead.
Well, with the lead-in, that being a role where he sees him, maybe you don't see him to the third movie where he comes back and you have a role for Grayskull and it turned out to be the guy from the gym. So,
I mean, it's not impossible, but it would take a lot of calisthenics to get there. I mean, I just feel like...
Yeah. I think it would be kind of cool, though. Just a little innuendo there to see that transpire. Yeah, like I'm totally interested, dude, to see more of this franchise on the big screen. Like I said, I was delighted. It took me back to being a 5-year-old again, and going out of this movie, I was just like, wow. And it did make me think. It accomplished everything I wanted. The special effects, the action scenes, the fight scenes, just seeing a live action He-Man done right. Even though we had a few quips here and there, but what movies do we not have those in it? That's all in the fun of talking about things that we love. But being able to share it with the kids and talk about it with my friends for such an IP that's over 40 years old, talking to my childhood friends about how we used to play with the toys. My younger brother, Nicholas, who I feel like was a creative genius because you didn't have all this stuff that you had nowadays that toys allow you to do. My younger brother was a genius at creating like battle scenes with the rocks and the sticks that we had out in the backyard, making like you used to see in the He-Man commercials. People forget about those commercials. You can view those commercials on YouTube where they debut the toy lines and they're showing He-Man fighting Skeletor and they're talking through. Those are the things that we used to do. And I remember my younger brother putting together like a bunch of sticks that made a bridge and then like a big rock coming down and hitting the bridge and having the He-Man toys fall off the bridge, and Skeletor is responsible for doing it. And I mean, that stuff was gold back then because you wish you had a iPhone to record all of that footage. And remember when we stood him under the tree and then tied the string to him and had him swing, but then he went over into the gate in the neighbor's yard and we never found the figure ever again? Or, we buried this figure in the backyard and the dog dug him up. Just stuff like that, man. We did that with our He-Man, our Transformers, our G.I. Joes. So, all that stuff, man. It was just a thrill to be a part of. And seeing these fight scenes and the explosions and all that stuff, it took me back into that frame of mind of thinking about those things as a kid, because not only the stuff that we saw transpire in this movie, we're like, man, what do they got planned next? And what other characters are they going to have in this time? And I want to see He-Man struggle more. I want to see him, have odds put against him like Batman. Hey, is Batman going to get out of this trap? Tune in next week for same bat time, same bat channel. I want to see Skeletor get the upper hand on He-Man in the next movie, and put him at odds where he's got to think his way through and can't always just use his strength, but also use those other characters that like in the Avengers movies where they specialize in those different scenarios. So, I think they can learn more from those cartoon episodes and really put these characters in the movie on the big screen in bigger and better budget situations to make the story come through. So I'm all game for it.
So, if you had the option to cast She-Ra, who do you think you'd cast?
That's a good question. I don't know if she would do it, but what's her name? Oh, Charlize Theron.
You don't think she's too old?
I mean, I just saw a couple Fast and Furious movies, and she didn't look old at all.
Charlize Theron, really?
That lady's in shape. Yeah, yeah. She
I
was
would.
in the last Fast and Furious movie, and you'd be like, man, she looks good. I mean, yeah. I mean, if they wanted to go with somebody younger, they probably most certainly would have had to. But I mean, there's so many actresses out here now. I could land on this one. I don't know.
I saw somebody put on Facebook a picture of this actress. I saw two actresses put as She-Ra. One of them I object to, but the other one I was like, that's not a bad casting. Florence Pugh, the girl who plays Black Widow's sister in the MCU.
Yeah, I
I was
saw
like,
it, but I think she's too short.
I do think she's a little short for the part. She's got kind of an athlete's body, gymnast body. She's got kind of a stocky kind of frame body.
Yeah,
But the other one everybody's putting out as She-Ra is Sydney Sweeney, and we know why.
well, that's just because her name. Yeah, her namesake. Yeah, I mean, if any case, if you want to do that, you might as well go Margot Robbie. But
I mean, but when you
yeah,
consider she's got to be because she's got to be at least close to age as Galaxine, so I would say Florence Pugh matches better in age than any of those others. Um,
yeah, that's true.
I'm looking at actresses his age, and Sydney Sweeney, Elle Fanning. Elle Fanning, I mean, I think she's attractive, but she looks a little bit like an alien, so that wouldn't pass. Haley
Yeah,
Steinfeld, she's got the wrong hair color, and I don't think she'd look good as a blonde. Anya Taylor-Joy,
yeah, yeah,
another alien. I like her, but she
yeah.
looks a little bit like she looks too unusual for that part.
Yeah.
And then
The director, he's got someone in mind, and you can tell by the way he talks
well,
about how passionate
he
he is
said, but
about
he hasn't asked her
her.
yet. He
Yeah,
said he hasn't even approached her
yeah,
with it. Let's hope it's
yeah.
not Sydney
Well, we'll
Sweeney,
see.
because I object.
No, I doubt it. I doubt it's her. I doubt it's her. It'll come out. Once this word of mouth gets going through and they start hyping up the Blu-ray release, uh, they, you'll hear it come out. And then if everybody agrees with it, this is going to add hype to the movie right now. So I I trusted him enough to do what he's doing. He also let rip that he would be interested in doing a Thundercats movie, but we talked about that. I think it would be the source material is a lot more stretched out. You need a lot more filling in to make at least a 2-hour movie interesting enough for.
I mean, I got fond memories
For
of
the Thundercats.
Thundercats, but I don't really feel like Thundercats was a very interesting franchise. It was like the gimmick of the
Well,
Thundercats was
you
awesome.
can't walk around and touring the headquarters for 2 hours. Yeah.
The gimmick of Thundercats was awesome, but they were basically fighting Mum-Ra's monster of the week every week,
and I don't recall them ever meeting Mum-Ra until much later. In fact, I remember they met Mum-Ra and they
Yeah,
didn't realize he was the villain at first because he was in his old decrepit mummy form,
yeah, yeah,
not as scary Mum-Ra form.
yeah,
So I think
yeah.
it would just be hard to
But I
make
think
that
visually,
movie.
if they can, if they match that intro, Thundercats has got one of the best intros, because of all the action and how fast it's going. I love the intro to that cartoon. I mean, when that cartoon came on, even if you didn't watch the episode, you were
I
like
just
glued
always
on the screen,
wondered.
like, man, look at that, look how fast Shatara is, and yeah,
I just always wondered if Lion-O kept saying thunder, would that sword just keep getting longer? It's a good thing he didn't have a stutter.
yeah, that's funny. I remember a casting a long time ago when they started Thundercats Talk. Was Matthew McConaughey as Lino, and this is just for looks. The face,
I can
he
see
looks
the
like a cat,
face, but
and they actually
I,
AI'd or CGI'd the costume on him, and not the body. No, I've seen his previous movies. Yeah, no, he wouldn't make it. The other is Ving Rhames as Panthro. Dude, that is like the face and the ears is spot on. Just like, dang, that looks just like him. So
Danny DeVito is Snarf.
I think I saw that somewhere. I think that would be crazy. That would be crazy.
Yeah, I
And
just
let's hope that Cat's lair is a lot bigger than Castle Grayskull.
yeah, I would watch a Thundercats movie, but I wouldn't be very critical of it because I don't remember a whole lot of substance to that cartoon. I feel like that cartoon was way more a commercial for the toys than He-Man was or GI Joe was. I feel like GI Joe and He-Man
Oh yeah.
had a story that sustained it. Where I feel like Thundercats, they just phoned in the story every week. Because I mean, you mentioned something about
Huh?
their ancestors showing up later and stuff like that. I don't recall any of that. So like, I must have been seeing like the first season reruns
Oh
for like
yeah.
the entire run.
Yeah, they did that. And then they did a newer series recently. Well, it was probably the last 10 years where
Yeah,
it was totally different story than what went on
it
in the
was
first
not.
series.
It
So
was
yeah,
not. Yeah, Jareth was coming up when that was playing, so I saw a little bit of it. The animation was a total turnoff for me. So I
oh
didn't
yeah,
really watch a lot of it, and it didn't seem to do very well. I think that was on
yeah,
Cartoon Network or Hub. I can't remember which one it was on.
yeah. But a movie that I would like to see get the movie treatment is Mask. I think that would look awesome. And I'm surprised someone hasn't done it yet because the whole thing with putting a mask on and them having powers in the different vehicles changing. It's got like GI Joe and Transformers all intertwined into that. But just never probably didn't have the fan base that will fund the movie. But I mean, as many fan movies as you see nowadays or short series, uh, like Netflix series, even if they just did a cartoon reboot, uh, I thought that would look really cool.
Well, they're
Or
gonna, right?
something live action with CGI.
They're gonna
That's
because
what it's rumored.
it's because Skybound's
Yeah,
doing the
yeah,
animated Energon universe. So you're gonna see it. I think that
yeah.
if you're gonna see a movie of Mask, it will happen after Voltron. When Voltron comes out, when Cavill's
Oh yeah,
Voltron
yeah.
comes out, if it's successful, people are gonna be clamoring for stuff, and the Mask will be the first. The Mask show will be the first thing they grab. Let's hope it's that, not
Yeah,
GoBots.
that's true. Yeah. Oh no, definitely not GoBots. Yeah, that would be crazy. But yep. So as promised, I wanted to let the viewers know my rating did change. I on a scale of 5-star rating, I was at a 4.5. I think I'm right there. I got to match Jody on the nose with a 4.7. Look
You gave it a
room
4.
for improvement, a couple story elements. Oh, I gave it a 4
You gave it a 4 before.
before. So now I'm right up there at 4.7. But on a scale of 1 to 10, I would say, yeah, closer to a 9 instead of a 10. But it's just that little bit of room. No, this movie wasn't perfect. There's a lot of things that can be addressed to improve it in the sequel. But overall, it accomplished the goals for me. It made me excited. It made me experience the nostalgia from when I was 5 years old when the '83 cartoon came on. The, the enjoyment of playing with the toys, all the different creatures and monsters that came from it. I was a big villain uh, fan in comic books and cartoons. You know, the Mumaras, the Megatrons, the Magnetos, the Ghosts in Scooby Doo, Skeletor, those things. You know, Cobra Commander, Serpentor, you know, those characters I rooted for. So, you know, definitely love Skeletor and his portrayal. He-Man and his portrayal. Idris Elba playing Man at Arms, breathing life into that character. I just think it was overall great experience. I would see it again in the theater at least 2 more times. And the day it comes out on Blu-ray, I'll probably watch it 2 times when I get it, because I'm still a physical format type of person that collects the movies I feel like are great movies. So
You know, it's something I forgot to
there you
mention
have it.
earlier. I hear a lot of people talking about Jared Leto as Skeletor and um, saying that he finally got one right. And I feel like Skeletor is great in this movie, but it's not great because of Jared Leto. It's great in spite of Jared Leto. And I'm not just piling on him because I don't particularly care for the guy. I think he's a character. They keep casting him in these movies, and he brings antics onto the set, and he's a distraction from making the movie the right way because he thinks he's um, special. I mean, he was good in Dallas Buyers Club, but everything else he's tried to be in was not doing so good. And I think that he is the common denominator there. Now, he signed on with some bad stuff, but he doesn't have a lot of charisma on the screen. So I was actually surprised at how much I was enjoying Skeletor in this movie. But honestly, I was mesmerized by the special effects of Skeletor. I'm sitting there watching his little red eyes dart around inside his empty, hollow skull eyes, and they would kind of look to one side, you know, when he's thinking. And I thought, man, it's really amazing the way they made this character that has no face emote just with these little red eyes. So I feel like the real hard work of Skeletor was done by the voice of Skeletor and the animators that made that face so emotive. And I learned after the fact, now check me on this one, but I heard that Jared Leto was not the voice for Skeletor in this movie. So he's literally just, I mean, he's basically mocapping. I mean, at the end of the day, because you know
Wow.
so anyways, heaping praise on Jared Leto for his role as Skeletor, they really need to do some reading because he's not that impressive. You know,
Yeah.
they say that it's not his voice. Even if it is his voice, it's pitch corrected and it's through some effect here and there. So it's a digital artifact. It's not him. And then of course there's no emotion from his face. It's all just somebody else's hard work. He's such a weird ass guy that apparently he had blood smeared on his face the whole time he was acting because he wanted the other actors to be afraid of him. Somebody should have told him he's box office poison. Everybody was already afraid of him. That they didn't want to get touched by him because they might
Yeah.
carry it to their next project.
I did again. My point
Well,
isn't to be good.
no, my thing is maybe he, uh, yeah, maybe that's why the evil Lynn was scared to do lines with him because she thought he was weird. Because she almost was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to, keep my distance with this guy. That's what it
I
kind of seemed
mean,
like.
that may be the case, but I still don't think that spares Allison Bree's point.
No.
Allison Brie, is that right? I just said it earlier in the show. I must be running on empty, Telly, because I'm. Is it Allison Brie?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Yes, I am correct. That is her name. Yeah, I don't think that spares her from the problems I saw in her performance. I just feel like it was the Fish Mooney effect. I think she showed up to this movie thinking,
Yeah.
oh, this is that He-Man movie, and she wanted to do she did her performance like she was in Batman 66. And I feel like Jada Pinkett Smith did the same thing in Gotham.
Yeah.
I think she said, oh, this is a Batman show. So she went back and she watched Eartha Kitt in Batman 1966, and she decided she was going to take her acting notes from Eartha Kitt, not realizing that's not the show that she was on. She stunk up the place. Her in that show was one of the worst things I've seen on television.
Yeah, true.
I think that is it for He-Man for me. I'm going to stick with my review. I think 4.7 is good. Like I said, I've got some criticisms, but nobody ruined the movie. No one ruined the movie. None of these things I said ruined the movie. There's just some things I would have liked to see, some things I thought were a mistake, some things that probably got left on the cutting room floor. Why did Triclops only have one eye? This is going to be a huge problem for me. Not enough Clopses on that Clops.
Yeah.
Why no merman? Why Karg? Why'd they steal a scene from my comic?
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah, but overall,
yeah.
great
I think
movie.
this movie could. Yeah, definitely a great movie. Love what they're doing, and we can't wait to review more. More stuff coming at you guys. So please leave your comments below. Tell us what you thought about the movie Masters of the Universe, and what would you like to see if there's a sequel or spinoff? And what would you like about what we thought about? So we definitely will reply. So please like and subscribe below. Let us know, and we'll be seeing you guys.